All right, hey everybody, this is Yuri, Velocity Tackle, all about everything local, all about everything USA made, and everything about fishing. So here with Jamie Samatis
It's me.
and Samatis Baits, made in the USA, right there, good stuff. I've been following Jamie's stuff for quite a few years now, going to the shows locally. Like I said, I'm always on the hunt for something new. I'm always on the hunt for local. And a lot of the other stuff you can get it anywhere online. This stuff I like because you get your hands on it. You get to meet. One of the first times I found your baits and I bought them was at the Boxborough show, and you had the little tank set up.
Oh yeah.
And somebody was there and they were like, oh, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. You know what I mean? They showed you, me. Not being no expert fisher, so I'm always interested in learning something, to get more and more into the sport. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I got my notes here. So let's start with you then. It's all about you. So give me a little bit of a personal.
So my name's Jamie Samatis. I own Samatis Baits Incorporated. I started making baits 2007, I believe.
Oh wow.
Started making them. Tinkering around. First baits I ever made, I bought this little kit, this little plastic kit, super cheap, super dangerous. They probably shouldn't sell them to anybody. Clear plastic, molds, they weren't metal, they weren't silicone.
Oh really?
Go together, a plastic clamp goes on this side, another clamp goes on this side. So you heat up the plastic in the microwave.
Okay.
You take in a little dangerous plastic injector, pull it out, and try to inject it. Well, never used this stuff before in my life. This is long before any Facebook pages of teaching people how to make stuff.
YouTube of how to.
Right. There was none of that. There was these forums you could go on, like Tackle Underground was one of them. So you'd go on there, and there was a pretty cool community. But you get as much knowledge as you can on a little forum page. So I bought this little kit. I said, I'm going to try this thing out. My wife, we didn't have any children at the time.
Yeah.
My wife was working nights, and so I decided in our own microwave.
Science experiment.
I'm just gonna bust this thing out, and I'm gonna heat up the plastic, and no clue what I'm doing. I didn't stir it enough. I overcooked it. I burnt the shit out of it. The whole place is smoking out. Disaster. Clean that out. Air out the house. Get it all. And I'm like, well, I don't want to quit. I'm gonna keep going here.
Yeah.
Figure it out a little more. Get it cooked right. Now I got it. Now I'm trying to put it in there. End up burning myself. It was like disaster. So I just took those things, threw them away. So let's go back, to square one.
Didn't even get to the fish one.
Right. They just sucked and they were dangerous. And after that, I've always told people don't buy those things are super dangerous.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even be used. Fast forward, I'd say a year from there, I was a little better at what I was doing. I had a little more knowledge at this point. I bought some aluminum open pore molds.
Yep.
And I got myself a Presto pot with a little valve. I drilled in.
Yep.
I put a tap in there and a little valve, and I was just making Senkos.
Yep.
Basically,
okay.
You know what I mean? So I had a bunch of these little molds. I started making these Senkos, and at the time I fished in a club, some small local club tournaments, and
because you're Haverhill area, right?
Haverhill, yeah.
Okay.
So it was they were all mass bodies of water that I was fishing out of. A lot of guys from Lowell, Drake area.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of just giving those away, just making them. I was fishing them, and I've always been the kind of person that if I take something and see it, I'm like, oh, how's this made? How do you make it? I like to just mess around and figure things out. That's just how my brain works. So I started making those. Slowly started adding some more molds, to it, and it was never really a business.
Right.
I had a sticker I'd put on there, give it to my buddy, and do whatever. And then I eventually created a stupid little website, and it looked like shit, and everything looked like shit. I thought it was
roughly. How old were you about that?
So 2007, I was 27.
Okay, so you weren't a little kid.
No, I wasn't a little kid. I was married. I had my wife and everything. We didn't have any children at the time, and kind of grew from there. Then I got some silicone molds and made some more hand poured stuff, and I got to a point where I knew hey, I like making these baits, but in order to make any money, like I need real equipment. Like I can't do this. I can't buy the same molds that everyone's buying and make the same baits that everyone's making. And I knew how long it took, even with like a good homemade, you know, the guys that are doing it, even with the systems they have, the amount of baits that you can make. I did the math. I figured this whole thing out, and I said, you can't make enough in order to make enough money to make this even worth my time being out in this garage.
You're losing money.
Right. And so it's like, is it a hobby or is it a business? Do you want to make money? You know, and I always, you know, you always want to make money. Anyone that says they don't want to make money is a liar. So you always want to make money. So I wanted to make a good quality product, but also make money. So I started doing some research, and I said, well, you know, I'm going to buy a injection machine, like commercial injection machine.
Oh, okay.
And my wife's
and
like,
those are specifically for like this,
soft plastic,
so
so plastisol, that's it. Like they're designed to, they have the heating elements and all that. So I told my wife that. She's like, you're fucking nuts. Like, what do you mean you're gonna buy this? And I tell her how much it is, and she's like, all right. I said, I'm gonna make it work. And
was it like 3,500?
No, like thousands, like 20, 30, 40,000. Like we're talking like a big.
Full, okay, you know, okay. No, how do you walk with balls out there?
So my wife's like, and I said, listen, I said, I'm gonna buy this machine. And I said, I'm gonna, you know, we took our own money, we invested into it. I said, I'm gonna pay it off within a year. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna make that many sales. We'll be good. She said, all right, I trust you. I've always trusted you. I trust you. We're gonna do it. So I went and bought the machine. I had 2 molds cut, and they were, you know, this bait here. And then this bait here. So these were the original 2 that I had.
So a trailer and a drop shot.
Yeah, so we had our drop shot bait that we sold a lot of, and then a jig trailer, you know what I mean? So these are both loosely based off of other baits. But they're our own design.
Now you can see the little...
This one here is based off of the Crosstail Shad by Jackal.
Oh, okay.
That's... No, you know, anyone that's ever heard me talk, I'm very upfront about that. Like, there's a bait called the Crosstail Shad by Jackal. We saw that bait, we really liked it. We took it, we changed some things. It doesn't have any ribs on it. It's a little wider. We thinned it up. We put some ribs on it, and I actually met the guy Kota Kiriyama, who was the designer of the Crosstail Shad, when I was testing this bait out. So the guy who cut my molds was the one I was getting my machine from, who I'm now friends with.
I gotcha. Okay.
And then
so you started running with the big dogs right away.
So I met I met him there, and he came in, and I'm kind of like, whoa. Like,
oh, really?
And he saw it, and he thought it was cool, and he was like, you know, and I didn't want him to think I was like I wasn't trying to rip anybody off. I just liked the design, and I wanted to change it up a little.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
So we went down to Georgia. Well, I went down to Georgia, flew down. I had sent him drawings and kind of rough what I was looking for to change on this. I had another bait that was similar that I kind of made. And then I took another bait. It was loosely based off of this. It's just a basic craw that kind of everyone has. And I said I want to change it, make it our own. The same ribbing we kind of have in a lot of them. They kind of look similar.
That's like big. Especially these days with all like the Japanese stuff. Now everybody, even Yamamoto's coming out with
they have the real
heavy
one. So I sent him everything. He got everything cut for me and kind of ready. I flew down. I took Spirit Airlines, and like I'm lucky to be alive today. Flew down. That thing was a disaster. Flew down there. Met those guys for the first time. Again, you know, Coda was there, and I met him. He just happened to come by because he was checking something else out, and the whole thing worked out that way. And that was the first time I ever ran a machine, like as they were showing me how to run a machine. Oh, yeah,
you went down for like training.
And do all that. So I did all that and learned that, came home, it got shipped back up to me. I moved it into my little shop I have, and within the first year, I had it paid off.
Really?
We started doing work with Mystery Tackle Box.
So
I don't know if you're familiar with them. It's an online subscription. Where you get every month you get a new box. There's different baits and things like that. So I got this whole setup, got everything rocking and rolling. Started kind of just, you know, it's not. You don't buy one of these machines and just hit a few buttons and you're done.
Right.
Like there's no Maytag repairman for these things. Like these things are all built, like custom built and everything.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So there's these big giant heaters and pumps, and there's a
Wow.
lot of stuff that can go wrong.
Yep.
And usually will go wrong at the worst time.
Right.
Like you're running, a color and it's midnight and something breaks and you gotta, so I have to be able to do it all. From being the electrician and
Yep.
this and that, and pulling things apart and knowing what I'm looking for. So, I had the machine. We got it in there. We got it rocking and rolling. Mystery Tackle Box reached out to us. They placed an order for 60,000 packs.
Wow.
And we were kind of rocking and rolling
I'm
from
impressed.
there.
Hey.
So we got that.
And about what year was this then?
So now we fast forwarded from 07. We got the machine in, I should really know this. I want to say it was 16.
Okay.
So there was quite some time in between.
Right,
It was
got
a
you.
lot of like just
You spent
nonsense.
a lot of time.
Yeah, and I was kind of like half in, half out. I've really young kids at this point.
Oh, yeah,
Even when
that's
I
right.
got the machine, you know what I mean. My daughter was born in 13. My son was born in 14.
Yep.
And so it's I had really
Yeah,
young
it's
kids.
stressful.
And that was the other thing is I go buy this machine. We have 2 young kids. I just built a brand new house like not that long ago, and we had a lot of stuff going. So I was like,
A lot of moving
in
parts.
order to do this, it was kind of big risk.
Yeah, it's a leap of faith, definitely. but
did it.
Paid off. and
Paid off.
That's amazing, honestly. I mean, just you could leave me with a pile of plastic all day, and I'm not selling 60,000
Yeah.
units. So my hat's off to you.
So even when we were doing that was like very overwhelming. We learned a lot from that. It's like I just started shooting all these baits, and now I'm like,
Yep.
oh shit! Like,
And that was just those 2 patterns. Just
we were only shooting this one.
really.
That's what they just bought just that one for the time being.
Wow.
So we shot a ton of those things, one
Yeah.
color. And you ever seen the movie Blow when he's putting all the money in the boat?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know where we can put it anymore. Like that's how I felt with baits. Like we had this
Yeah.
elongated garage, this really long,
Just stacking them
just
up.
right bars on bars on bars.
Yeah.
At one point, I'd have to stop and run to Home Depot and get more 2x to build more racks just to hang
Wow.
more stuff on there.
Yeah.
But we were learning.
Yeah.
I was learning everything from there and how to manage, the
Yep.
manufacturing.
Supply line.
Right, exactly. We got all that done. We had people that were bagging for us. I would drop it off because at first I'm like we're not going to be able to bag all this.
Right.
We actually got a smaller order. They tested us first and they gave us I think it
okay.
was like a 3,000 or 4,000 pack, which is really
Yep.
in that it was really not a whole lot. We got that. We knocked that out like real fast and did it. But I had like myself, my wife, my mother-in-law, some
Yeah.
buddies, some
Anybody
fishing
you
buddies.
get,
We had
yeah.
a bunch of people helping us bag, and I'm like, I can't keep fucking doing this. Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to want to hang out with me ever again. Like, I'm going to call them. Like, no one's going to want to answer the phone. Like, nobody wants to sit here and
Yeah.
put worms in a bag.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah. There's only so many times you can buy beers too.
Right, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pizza, beer, whatever. Like, they're like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't care. I'm not coming by. So we ended up finding, and we outsourced all of our bagging to a company, and we drop everything off, and they
okay,
do
cool.
all the bagging for
Yep.
us and label and everything like that. So that's kind of where we got, not to here, but,
Right,
at
right.
least we
It's a
got
big step.
ourselves established. We since have added a second machine.
Yep.
So that was a pneumatic machine. We have a bigger hydraulic machine.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 machines we run. We now have 12, I think it's 12 designs total.
Oh, okay.
So each mold, it's not like you see molds online when guys are hand
yeah,
shooting.
yeah,
They're
yeah. You
little,
can do like 6 or something.
yeah, there's a
like
little
that,
aluminum
yeah.
molds. Like we have molds that are, this long. They're like this, you know what I mean? And those molds, again, everything gets expensive.
Yeah.
It's not like for the faint of heart. Like
Yeah.
I see guys who bitch about buying one little mold and a gallon of plastisol.
Yeah.
We're ordering anywhere from 4 to 12 drums, 55-gallon drums of
Wow.
plastisol. And then those molds there are anywhere from $5,000 to like $11,000 each.
Wow.
The mold.
And then what is it, like a big long, like it hits all of them at the same time?
Yeah. So when it closes up, there's 2 halves of it, obviously, and this thing sits in there, and there's
Yeah.
runners, and they come on. The mold maker we have, Leonard. He's like I think he's the best in the biz.
Yeah.
Hands down. He's unbelievable. His attention to detail, like just everything. He doesn't cut any corners.
Right, right. Yeah, you can usually tell, like, if you see the seams
Yeah.
are a little
Yeah, yeah.
peeling.
Yep.
Or...
So he does great work, and now I've built up a good group of people network that I have now from whatever mold maker suppliers, things like that.
Right,
so,
right.
And yeah, now here we are. We're incorporated. We incorporated actually last year.
Oh, okay.
So before it was just
Mass corporation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Before it was just a
sole proprietor.
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
I mean,
DBA type of a
yep.
thing.
So.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
And that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
Nice. That's awesome. I can't imagine. I mean, that was about, I was 30 when I had my daughter was born. I think my wife was pregnant with our second kid when I started my own company. I'm in tech, so it was, tech guys were getting laid off all the time, and I was like, screw this, I'm going out on my own. And I just had a minivan and a flip phone. I just called everybody all day, you know what I mean? So you gotta grind, gotta hustle.
You can't be afraid to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if it's like you feel like you're bothering people, you still have to just be like
reminding. You gotta poke.
Poke. It's you gotta do it.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was kind of poking with you. I was like, is he going to take me serious? Am I going to get him in here?
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's great. I mean, that's a great story. So the focus, pretty much, obviously, I hate to call them rubber worms.
Soft plastics.
What they are. Soft plastics. Okay. I know you were connected with somebody for some jigs, I think, another company.
Yeah, so that's we wholesale Outcast Tackle. We just buy their jigs wholesale and sell.
I got you.
For a while, we were making jigs. We had a company in the Midwest that was spinning all of our stuff and painting and everything.
Yeah.
The prices of metal and everything just gone through the roof, and it got to the point where we got the heads and everything ready, and then we were tying the skirts and doing all that, and there was so much that went into it.
Right.
And then after that, you're selling that jig for $5, and I'm like,
it's
again,
tough.
I got back to these numbers, and I'm going, I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit here and be tying to this and that and calling so many friends you can call over to tie jigs, and you can't, you know what I mean, you can't, it's not very sustainable to be able to make these and make money and make it all work. So
high volume, low profit.
Yeah, so we paired up with them who, they've already an established jig company, Midwest. They have like Seth Fighter who fishes for them. Some other pros, and they make some cool jigs, and I like their stuff, and so I just reached out and said, can I wholesale this and carry it on there, so it's nothing like really exclusive or anything. We don't.
I've seen a lot more guys are starting to, because the jig thing is kind of blowing up, and then you get the spoon guys, and then you get the plastics guys, and it is kind of nice, and it's good that other guys I think will team up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's not like everybody's.
And they don't
know your lane,
and they don't make any plastics or anything. So we were trying to, and it's. We just
if somebody buys something from you, they like it.
Well, we also we make a lot of different trailers for jigs, so we figured if you're coming to buy a trailer from us, why not buy a jig from us?
Right.
I mean, if we're making whatever pennies on it, whatever,
yeah,
it's still something, and it just gives people. It's not all even about that. It's give people the one-stop shop. You know what I mean? Guy comes up, he's like, "Hey, I want to get this. All right, I can get a jig to go with it." Or maybe like you said, we're doing shows. There's people there that I can kind of introduce the jig to, like.
Right, I got
new
you.
guys come up, and a lot of them are afraid to throw a jig because they don't know anything about it. So they just throw a worm, you know what I mean? I'm all about showing people and educating them. And
that's awesome.
The more educated they are,
the
more likely they are to come back and now buy more of our soft plastics and fish them in more advanced ways and different techniques. Where then most guys are going to start out and they'll get a worm, and it's like a wacky worm. They put a hook in there, and that's it, and that's going to catch fish. But maybe they want, maybe they want to learn more. So that's every time we do those shows,
it is daunting.
I have a good group of guys that help me do the shows too, and they love talking fishing. So
I've met the guys.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I like when I get an email or a message, and it's a guy, and it can be anywhere from a kid to a grown man who maybe they're not, not everyone fishes in the whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
not everyone grows up fishing and doing whatever. Maybe they never fished and they want to learn. They get this, I give them a few things, set them up, they go out and they catch a fish, they're like stoked, and they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. Now they catch a big one, and they're like, it's like, you get hooked. I didn't start
fishing until my adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was, nobody fished in my family, never heard of it, and honestly, it was like, 10 years ago, a buddy of mine came down with a worm like this, and we were at Cobbets, and I'm like, what are you going to catch, a dinosaur with that thing? You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
He just hooked it on, threw it out, and he hauls out this largemouth, and I was like, after that, I was like, where do you get those things?
Yeah.
I had poles, and I was on fire.
Yeah.
Because, I was just like, I didn't even know there were fish that big.
Yeah.
I never... I was bobbers and worms and sunnies, and I'm like, this is boring.
No, so every time, like, if I'm coming in on my boat, if I'm coming up to the boat ramp, and there's kids fishing, the docks, whatever, I always go through and grab stuff, and I've seen kids, like, I try to give them whatever, you know what I mean? The kids, I'm not going to be like, hey, give me $5, you know? I try to help them, and some of them will have parents with them who, God bless them, they're bringing them out fishing and everything, but they don't have a clue what they're doing.
They're just the
so
ride,
and that's it kind of like I want to help them, so I see them, I'm like, okay, let's cut all this off. You got a bobber with a swivel, steel leader, you get a snell hook, and it's just like this disaster. So I'll cut it all off and grab a hook out of mine, tie it on, show them.
It's all on a surf casting rod.
Right, and then show them how to do it and just throw it out there, and it's like, here you go. And it's like, oh, it's that easy. I don't need all this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in its essence, it's a simple thing, but when you get into the...
I like helping... especially like kids and like stuff when they don't know how to, you know what I mean? Because if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't have somebody showing you, you know what I mean? You don't know. So
that's one of our biggest initiatives here is, like don't, it's all about learning. You know what I mean? No, don't be embarrassed. Don't.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the forums are a little tough because a lot of keyboard warriors, people who want to learn, and they kind of get shut down. And I think one of the things me personally, whenever I go through I'll go through, I'm like, oh my God, I got way too many of, I just find the kids in the neighborhood, I'm like, dudes, they're like, oh my God, you're amazing. I just give them bags of stuff. And, there was a guy who did ice fishing who was posting a lot, and he passed away. Can't think of his name, but he did a lot with, like, the veterans. So you could send him just, you try a bag of stuff, you didn't like it, send it to him, and he would find veterans to give it to. And that's one of the things that I'd like to try to accomplish is, there's a lot of this stuff that, you want to make sales, you got to sell new, but there's a lot of it that sits idle as well that if it could
we got a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Just guys like me who, sit at home at night on your phone and you're like, ooh, I don't have that color.
Right.
You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're $200 in and you're like, I really didn't need any more swim baits.
But you always can use them.
You can always, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's cool. And then, so you got the trailer, the drop shot, the...
so that's the slobster. So the slobster comes in 3 sizes. Yeah, all right. So this is the 3.5.
Yep. Oh, okay. Baby craw.
Yeah, so that's the 3.5. So these are the 2 sizes we sell the most of on this particular bait. We do make the 7-inch, like you said, but that one...
I want to try the 7s. I was actually looking for a lobster bait to take out on into salt water.
Yep.
Up at like Joppa Flats.
Oh yeah.
And then I saw that and I was like, oh my God, there's nothing else like this.
Yeah, no, there was actually guys that at the shows that were buying those to fish, for stripers.
Yeah.
I'm sure they work. You know what I mean?
They should.
Here we go. That's a little nice.
Oh yeah, that's a nice color.
Bait.
So so you fish these, the idea is to get it so it's like so
the claws are standing up. You know what I mean? You wanted to. Anytime you see a crayfish, and bass are coming over to pick them off, the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna stand up.
Yep.
They want to, because that's their
their
defensive. You know what I mean? They sit there and they try to pinch at them. So when you fish this on like a jig, the jig usually it'll stand up and the skirt will flare out.
Oh, okay,
so
I got you.
This, this one, and then this is considered a crayfish, kind of, but not really.
Yeah,
it has like a this edge on it where it's gonna like swim more.
Right.
So it's just kind of a kicking action, which is gonna just kind of draw the curious
right.
creature, which
it's
is
kind of the crayfish before the technology got to this point where.
Yeah. Well, so no, this is actually these here. It's an old design.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this here, little behind the scenes. So Wave. This I don't like to hide in it because people go like, oh, that's.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
I
actually
gotcha.
we didn't design this bait.
Okay.
We bought these molds. So we bought the
okay.
production molds from
Yep.
Wave.
Yep.
A friend of mine got them from Wave.
That's a supplier.
So they were a bait company.
Oh, okay.
So they used to have like the tiki stick, the tiki lobster, like the big one was called, I think, the tiki. I think they were
Yeah.
all the tiki. I don't know.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of different weird names. But we bought it. And when we bought it as a bundle. So I bought the small, the medium, and the large. And,
Yeah.
and we started making them as our own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What can happen, you know what I mean, with these production molds, people go out of business, do whatever, you know what I mean, you take them over.
Yeah.
So we've kind of made them our own.
Yeah, unfortunately, you see a lot of that. I'll see a guy, like, I'll buy something a year later, you go back and
Yeah.
website's down.
Well, especially with the smaller guys,
Yeah.
because they start realizing, like I said, back
Yeah.
to the numbers and trying to make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Their wife's bitching at them, their business, their job,
Yeah.
their kids are busy with baseball, whatever, right? They have all this stuff, and so that's why I went the route I did.
Yeah,
You know,
kind of go big or go home.
I actually have a guy who runs the machine. I'm
Yeah.
not always running the machine. I have,
Right,
you know,
right,
staff
right.
and
No,
stuff
it's
like
a
that,
legitimate company
yeah.
at this point. You're a,
but yeah, no, with these here, those came from Wave originally.
Okay.
This one here, there was a ton of they must have sold the most of these. So there's a few different companies you'll actually see that sell this bait.
Oh, really?
There's some other
Okay.
companies out there that got their hands on them. Nobody has the small one that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're the only ones, and then the big one, I think we're the only ones as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
I keep my eyes peeled.
I'm sure. You could probably tell, like, three different ones next to me, I probably couldn't tell the difference, but
Yeah.
you'd be like,
Yeah.
like totally zoned in.
Yeah. That's kind of it for our trailers. Oh, we have a chunk we make, which I don't know if you know what a chunk is.
Yeah, I've
Like
seen
an
that
old
one.
school-
Yep. Yeah, the old pork bait.
Right, same idea.
Yep.
We sell, some of those. It's kind of like a seasonal thing, really cold, early spring, people fish them and stuff like that.
Do you see a lot of the craws? I've never had good luck with craws, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, just the technique.
No,
Do you see a lot of them sell in New England?
Oh
or-
yeah. So I fish these on the back of a jig almost 100%.
Okay.
There's guys I know that'll Nico rig them, meaning they'll put like a weight down here.
Oh, okay.
You put an O-ring here, and you put your hook.
Yep.
Kind of drag it along, so then it's just kind of
Stand it
along
up.
like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
When it comes to like colors and all that, I'm a terrible guy to ask because I fish almost all black.
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time, you know what I mean?
I have good luck with dark. Black
yeah.
has been good to me. Black,
Yeah.
dark blue, and green pumpkin,
Yeah.
which is the
That's all,
quintessential.
especially around here, New England. If you're in like a smaller body of water where it's more stained, it's like those dark colors are going to really excel.
Yeah.
The clearer the water, then you can get more to, the lighter
Yep.
colors and stuff like that. Your green pumpkin, you can't really go wrong with that
Right,
anyway.
right.
But most of the colors that we make, a lot of people have preference too, right?
Yeah, I mean
It's-
everybody. Well, you have
it's
good luck with
confidence,
something, then you're
right.
going to want to hone in on that.
Yep,
So
yep.
I find like different, I'm used to cobbets, so that's, stained water, I guess you would consider that.
Yep.
Can maybe see 3 feet down if that.
Yeah, so
and
your
then,
black, blue, stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly. But then I went up to like Winnipesaukee because I had like an Airbnb one summer and brought the kids up in the boat and I went out and it was like a totally different, you could see, and it's like, oh boy, I got to change up my game.
Oh yeah, and then if you fish in real stain water, you can fish straight braid and just throw the thing out there and horse the thing in.
Yeah.
Then when you get in a real clear water, you want to throw a lighter line and
Yep.
now you want to fish with like fluorocarb and things like that. So
Yeah. So these, if you put like a jig, would you use like a longer jig to kind of come up towards the
no.
body?
So
or
what I'm gonna do is I just
bite the end off?
yeah. So
Oh, really? Okay.
just take that right off and I'll fish this on a jig depending on
Okay.
depending on the time of year. Once it warms up, the water's usually post spawn.
Yep.
Pre-spawn to spawn, I'm gonna fish this size.
Okay.
It could be the same size jig,
Yep.
and I'm gonna trim this one down too,
Yep.
so it's almost. That would be a good for you, me choking on it. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be similar size, right? This one's obviously smaller.
Yep.
But I'll fish this on even 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce jig, quarter ounce.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really the size. doesn't really matter. I can go with a heavier jig. I'm going to trim the skirt way up, so it's like a smaller finesse-y, and then I'll put this on there as more of a finesse bait. Once the water warms up and everything, and
they can get more aggressive and start feeding post.
Yeah, right. Well, now they're going to go into their funk and then do their whole thing, but I find now you're going to have a bigger presentation. Although everything I just said might go against this, that I've fished the 7-inch, I've trimmed that down, so it's a big giant. And I've dragged that around pre-spawn and caught some pretty big fish on that thing too. So
that's awesome.
I guess it's really all preference, but normally when I'm fishing these, I'm gonna trim them down just like that. So that it, you're just gonna feed the hook through here.
I gotcha. That's good to know. I learned something already.
Yeah, a lot of any of my trailers, like even this, when I'm putting this thing on, I'm gonna trim this thing down too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like when you put it on there, I don't want it hanging out like really far. You want to look at it, right? You put it in your hand, and you're like, does this thing look like pretty natural?
Right.
Does this thing just kind of, you don't see like this really long crayfish with all the stuff hanging off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want it to be like this nice little easy meal. They're coming in, they're seeing it. The skirt flares out, his arms come up, and it's all kind of doing its thing together. You know what I mean? It doesn't look odd when you have it together. I guess.
So if you put one of these on a jig, so do you like to just hook it this way, so it's like hanging off the back, or would you dress it in up to the holder?
Well, there's two different ways you can. So one way you were talking, I think what you were getting at is like chunking it on. So that would be just putting your hook right through.
Yeah, just so it hangs off the back.
Right, and some guys will hang them, chunk them like that. And a lot of the times I'm going to thread it on.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the hook through the top, come out right through here. And then I'll put a dab of super glue, push it up, squeeze it.
Okay.
It's good to go. Not the biggest, but another big thing when you fish in a jig is you want to trim your skirt up too, and you don't want the skirt to be like super crazy. And you also, if you have a trailer that you want to have some action on it, you don't want that skirt to be all over the trailer so it can't do what it's supposed to be doing.
Right, I gotcha.
You want it, because if you want these things to kick, you want to be able to have it kick freely.
Does
that make sense?
So it's good.
And everything we sell is ready to be fished, right? You can take it out of the package and fish it, but it's the other things about trimming it down, and a lot of people just don't know enough. But there's a lot of stuff out there nowadays with like Bass University. These guys, Tactical Bass and stuff on YouTube. They're gonna show you, a lot of stuff, and so a lot of people just learn things from there. But when you get our baits, it's not like you can kind of do whatever you want with them.
It's tailored for. I mean, they make them now. I've seen them where they're pretty much 1,000,000 appendages, and you just pick off. And almost.
Yeah, there used to be a bait. I think it was Lunka City that made it, that you could take stuff off and do this and that. But you'll see some guys, and they'll say, "Oh, I like fishing this, but I like ripping the claws off of this and that." That's kind of a good segue into this bait here. That's like our #1 selling bait right now, the HTW, the hollow tip worm.
And that's your invention.
Right, we designed this thing. I designed it from the ground up. I took we used to make our Samatis, which is like, we made a floating version, which this one, no, this has salt in it. We used to make a floating version, and then we realized that the mold wasn't designed to be shot without salt, so we had to add the salt back in.
Okay.
So we didn't like the way it was coming out. But anyways, we were taking this bait, right, and we were cutting this bait down to like right here, and I was fishing it on a Ned. But I was before I took them out, I'd sit there watching TV, and I'd take a screw and put it in there, and pull some stuff out, and then take a little drill bit, and I start cleaning it out till this like whole section down here was hollow.
That's where you get the idea.
And so then I'm like, and so then it's gonna help that thing stand up more. So then I'm like, oh, that's cool, I like that. And then I'm like, I want it to be almost on like a spring. Right? When you hold it out of the water, it just if you're going down the road, things just a little bouncing all over the place.
There's nothing around it.
So now it's like a balloon going up, right? It's got nothing to hold it, so it's doing this. So even the littlest bit of current, boat traffic or anything, it's kind of just fluttering around.
So you take a stick bait, turn it into a Ned bait, and then turn it into a...
But then we had to get that middle section to be be like that.
So it's kind of, the heavy
because you almost want it like it wants to fall over, but it's floating. So it's, and that's when this thing's secondary action is unbelievable. And what I mean by that is the bait lands in the tank, right?
Yeah.
And it falls here, and then you slack line it, and the thing just goes whoop.
Okay.
And then this tail just kind of 95% of the time, I would say, these are just numbers I'm making up. I think.
Yeah.
A fish goes and looks at this bait and comes in, right? They're very curious creatures. Like, they're going to see the thing.
Yeah, they want to know what's going on.
And they're like, what's going on in the water? And they go look at it, and now the thing's sitting there, and now it stands up. And they're like, holy shit, I'm going to eat this thing.
Yeah.
That's when they're going to pick it off.
I got
Now,
you.
if it fell in, right, and it just felt like this, and it was just, the typical Ned, nothing wrong with it, cool bait.
Yeah.
But it just stays there, it's just stiff.
I got
It's a do-nothing bait. Which is then fishing a Ned, they say it's a do-nothing bait. Like, you throw it out there, you do nothing, you just let it sit there. This thing falls, stands up, and then it's doing nothing, but the tail's just moving just enough where it's triggering bites.
I got you.
And that's because they come over and they stare at it, and when it's doing that, they don't like that. Like, it's like, what's going on? I'm going to eat this thing. It's still moving. It's not just, sitting there playing dead. So, but why I kind of segued into this from this when we were talking about appendages and everything else like that. So if I took this, right, and I ripped these off, okay, and I try to sell a crayfish with no claws, people are like, screw you. Like, that thing sucks. No claws on it. But realistically, like, this is like, a fish is going to eat this.
There's a ton of action there.
Well, not only that, is because now it's a crayfish who can't defend himself.
Ah, okay. So they would key in on that.
So now when you see this thing and it goes in there, they see this, and it's very similar to that thing standing up. It has no claws.
It has nothing to fight back with.
And there's a video somewhere that somebody made, and they'll show them standing up, and there was one, I think, that had no, and the thing just gets demolished.
Just crushed.
But that's the idea of this.
Neat.
I can't sell you a crayfish without claws, but I can sell you a hollow tip worm. It has no claws, and they're gonna.
And you'll buy it.
Right, and it's a cool looking bait, and you don't have to rip anything off of it.
Right. No, it's definitely.
I've had
cool.
guys now, like, those things are definitely our number one seller. I've had guys now that are buying them, and they'll fish with their buddy. One guy told me that his buddy was fishing the Ned, the Z-Man Ned.
Yep.
And he wasn't getting bit, and he had like 8 fish before the guy's like, dude, give me one. Let me try one, and he put one on, and he ended up, catching him. So
nice. That's got to be satisfying from a personal level. Too.
Oh yeah. Well, any of those stories that I get are like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And if somebody wins, I don't care if it's Thursday night $20 tournament, or if it's like a big, whatever it is. It's a good feeling when they're like, oh, dude,
absolutely.
I used your stuff and it worked and I loved it and I do this and the trip. I can't even talk. The trick you gave me about taking this and doing that. Yeah. I did that and I cut this and it's like, it was awesome. Lights out. I caught him. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
That's what I love about this market is just the willingness. You know what I mean? To not. You're making a living. You got to make money, but to be able to even still not stop forging ahead.
Yeah.
Looking for that. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more.
That's kind of where we are now because now that we built this from the ground up, and it's like nobody has anything like it. We're the only ones out there.
Yeah.
That's like, I want the next one. Like, what are we gonna change next to make it?
Yep. The next. Yeah. I mean, it started with this. I mean,
right.
It
Exactly.
turned into a whole industry. Of
Well, the soft plastic world didn't start with this.
Yeah.
This version, obviously this isn't what that is, but a Senko.
Just
kind of that was like one of the biggest. That's probably still the biggest, and I hate using this term, game changer.
Yeah.
The Senko was like that was the bait. It still is.
Yeah.
Like you can't catch a fish.
You can't
tie one on, you throw it out there, you're gonna catch a fish.
Green pumpkin Senko
and throw it out there. Yep.
Yeah, that's when I started there, and then like you get bored with it. I'm like, all right, well, what's this do? What's that do? That's how I am.
Yeah. I look at and I try to explain to people who are getting into fishing too. It's like these are all like tools in your toolbox.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Different techniques, and you know what I mean. Whether it's your just pounding the bank, or if they move offshore, things like this. Everything does something a little different. Yeah. And then some of these baits have multiple uses. You can fish them different ways, depending on rigging and stuff like that. So.
Right, I got you. Yep. Oh, that's great. And this is another one that I'm curious about. So, how do you like to fish something like this?
So I'll be honest. This bait here, I fished this thing I'd say pretty much 100% of the time in the back of a chatterbait.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a chatterbait trailer.
Interesting. Okay.
And the reason for it is because it has that 45-degree tail right here.
Yep.
So it's not. I don't like if you have a paddle tail on the back of a chatterbait.
Yep.
It's like that big swinging.
Yeah.
I want like a tight little.
I got you.
And that's what this is going to give you. It's a great profile, nice little bait fish. Again, I'll trim back the skirt on it so it's not like super crazy on there.
Yep.
And then the tail itself is not going to give you that big sweeping motion.
Interesting.
Gonna,
Okay.
you know,
So you wouldn't do just like a
no,
swim bait hook or anything?
No, so you could.
I mean, it's so small. I have.
And people who do it, I've actually had guys who will drop shot them.
Yep.
Just nose hook them.
Yep.
Drop shot them. But the idea with this tail, it's very small, right? So you're not going to get a whole lot of action out of it anyways at the small of the bait. But then the tail itself being that 45-degree angle, it's not designed to be a big, sweeping swim bait. So
Do you tend to color match with trailers in the skirts, or?
So like that, I'd fish on the back of like a green pumpkin. But we also make like this is roadkill, and then we have galactic sun, which is like an orange, brown, purple.
Yep.
Both of those are, that can be, either perchy or the other one's kind of bluegilly, perchy. Like, they're kind of both very similar. And then we make one called Banged Up. It's like a black-blue swirl. It's like...
I think I know her.
it's that color there.
Oh, okay.
See that?
Yeah,
it's hard to see unless you have it in the light.
A little bit,
Yep. Same thing. And then I'll fish that on either just a black chatterbait or a black-blue chatterbait. That bait
that
in this color.
Right, I got you.
Yep.
Nice.
So... but yeah, no, there's really nothing too crazy about that.
Yep. That's good. I mean, there's a lot of different technique just in those things. So.
Yeah, we try to get you covered, all the way across the board. Yeah.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about the plastics, and you definitely seem very knowledgeable. So, like environmental concerns just with plastics in general in the industry. I guess what's your take on, obviously everybody's looking for some sort of biodegradable or, what is it? Berkeley, I've seen those things when they dry out, they're like, I think they're worse than rubber.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like they come in the water and you take it out.
The Berkeley Gulp?
Yeah, a lot of those, you leave them out and then you look at it and it's like a piece of leather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then... but anyway,
so ours are, we use plastisol. It's pretty industry standard for, most soft plastics. There's other stuff out there. There are stuff. There is stuff that people claim to be biodegradable.
Right. It's plastic.
It's debatable. Yeah. I would say, knowledge is the knowledge is, king when it comes to like all that. Because now how you're fishing is if as long as you feel that bite and you're paying attention, they're not going to swallow.
Right.
So the more you know about fishing, the more you know how to fish that particular technique. Every now and then, shit happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a phone call and your line's up.
Otherwise, you're killing them anyway by letting them get gut hooked.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So if you're paying attention and you're fishing, and you have the correct gear and the correct knowledge and the proper knowledge and everything to go out and fish, they shouldn't be swallowing.
Right.
The worms.
That's a good point. Actually, I never thought of that. It kind of puts the angler as also responsible.
Yes, we are very responsible. We're very, very responsible. And so when it comes to being on the water and keeping the waterways clear and all that, like I'm like really big on that.
Yeah.
And I think most guys that fish, or at least bass fish, I don't know everyone.
Right.
But I know everyone I know takes better care of the water than the people that actually live on it.
I know. You're always like, you'll take your boat 50 yards that way just to scoop a beer can out and then go back over.
Exactly. I'm always doing stuff like that. And, if I find line, I just, had to replace the prop seal on my, prop seal shaft on my boat because I sucked up all this braid and this, and it's like just people being idiots, leaving stuff out there and trash. So I'm really conscious about like picking up, stuff on the water, not leaving. Don't just throw your
Yeah,
you know,
always
don't
clean
go
up
like,
after
oh yeah, I need a new
yourself,
worm.
and-
Take the old one and chuck it. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be, you know, a real asshole to
I
do
keep
that.
like a container, and I put all my dead baits in
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah, I have a little cooler on my boat, like a step cooler, and I
Yep.
usually just throw all my trash and stuff in there. And then
Yep.
at the end of the day, when I get out, I take all that,
yep,
throw it away, and
yeah,
so, you know, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to change the way we make our baits right now. You know what I mean? I'm sure maybe in the future we could figure out a way to do
yeah.
it. And there's always talks about it. My wife's very conscious about that, like talking about like how do we go about doing that and making it a better for the water and the animals.
Right.
And but
keeping it sustainable.
right right now I can't. But what I can do is just not be a dink and pick up all my trash and pick up all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
too,
good.
you
And
know?
encourage other people. Like
Yeah.
I said, I think that's a really good point. Everybody should,
Yeah.
you know, the guy who's brought the worm should take care of the worm.
When it comes to like, you know, fishing, like everyone's killed a fish in their day, like just fit, and sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
And you feel like an asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got hooked a few, and when I was learning,
Yeah.
and
Things happen to people, whether it's when they're just learning or maybe I'm in the live well and something but like that's why, like I say, there's like a community in the bass fishing world. I think most people are very caring and they want to
right.
make sure the water stays clean and
Oh,
they
you
want
want
to
the fish.
Yeah.
You know, if you
You know,
Don't
the
take-
same
don't
people that
respect
bitch at us about, you know, plastics being in the water and this and that, they're the same people that are treating these lakes that are pouring all these chemicals in. And don't even
Yeah.
get me started on
doing
those
the
guys.
Scott's force stuff.
They're the
and-
worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I fish a lake by my house and, you know, I watch everyone fertilize their lawn,
Yep.
right? And they're watering and it's washing into the lake, right? Now the lake's getting super thick and choked out and they're like, oh, why do we have all these weeds here? This
Must
and
be
that.
those guys with the plastic
Oh
worms.
yeah, but then they're like, "Oh, I have an idea. Let's pour chemicals into the water to treat it. It's not going to hurt the fish." And you
Yeah.
know, I've gotten into it with the guy at the boat ramp one time, and you know, I'm like, "Yeah," I go, "Let me put you in a bubble and spray chemicals in there. You tell me how safe it is for these fish."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, come on. You can see the fish. And the fishing goes way down when they start spraying for grass and putting all that stuff in there. And
Yeah.
you know, what I mean, it's definitely affecting them. So don't want to go totally the other way.
Right.
But you know, what I mean, I think as a bass fishing community, I think
Yep.
with it, even though it's plastic, we try to be conscious about what we're doing and taking care and treating the fish properly.
Yeah, to me, it's no
proper
different
fish
than,
care and everything.
you know, when I was a kid, you got a jar of applesauce, and now it comes in like little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got you're throwing away plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still,
Yeah,
you know,
you just gotta be mindful
the
of
enemy,
where
it's-
you're putting it and throw it away. And
Yep.
For a while, a long time ago, I actually started like a recycling program.
yep.
And we were getting baits back. And we were gonna try to. It was a lot of work, and it wasn't really much. But we actually had a box at like the Bass Pro in like Foxborough.
Oh,
They
okay.
put a little box there, and it didn't really. Like a lot of people aren't gonna take all these and be like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going
right.
to Bass Pro. I gotta remember to bring, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So it never really kind of took off, and you know. But
Yeah, I found a few guys like local would make their own baits.
Mhm.
So I'd be like, give them them.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care what color.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was. They would just mix it all up,
Yeah.
make some free worms. That's
Yeah.
all they wanted was free stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
yeah,
It goes right back
Everyone
out.
likes free
so.
stuff, so.
So the last, one last thing on the plastics that I'm just curious about is like, I mean, plastics are super sophisticated. So there must be, I mean, you get a big learning curve to know.
Yeah. So, like when you first start getting, there's a lot of there's like fishing lure plastisol, right? Like there's
Okay.
like companies that manufacture stuff, and now there's companies that'll like rebottle it and call it their own, and this and that. It's like kind of anything, but you kind of just learn. They already have their mixes.
Okay, so
They
you don't
get-
have to be like
yeah. No, but you
engineer level.
No, you can. So they sell like hardeners and softeners and stuff like that. You can add to it.
Yeah.
So we adjust ours a bit and
Yeah.
just to make it our own.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, it's it's
So
all
you
about
control the consistencies, or
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, we it's all about the manufacturer, who you want to get your plastic from, and who you're kind of happy with.
They have like trade shows and stuff, or
No,
it's just more like
just
Seek-
suppliers. You just
seek them out. They'll
Yeah.
educate you on what's coming or
Yeah.
what's coming out.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That's cool. When how about floating versus sinking?
So we got rid of the floating altogether.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't even make that thing anymore.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we only make just the sinking.
I gotcha. Was that is it the salt that makes it sink, or is it the plastic?
It's the salt.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
salt's because salt's heavier,
Yep.
so it's gonna weight it.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's funny.
So-
The when there's salt in a bait,
Yep.
so salt's a filler,
Okay.
and I believe the original salted bait was Gene LaRue,
Oh, really? Okay.
and I think so I think he patented putting salt in
Yep.
baits like
Okay.
way back when.
Yeah.
And the idea was, there's everyone's like, oh well, the fish likes the taste and this and that. At the end of the day, it's a filler.
Right.
It's cheaper by the pound than plastic is.
Right. I got
So
you.
that's why people put it in there. And it's like anything, you
okay.
put a filler in anything because you don't, you want to cut your cost.
Oh
and
yeah.
it's
Animal foods and
Right.
you name it.
Yep.
Everybody gas.
Yeah. But if you have, a Senko or a stick bait, any sort of stick type worm, this isn't a Senko, but
Yeah.
a Senko or the Samatis or any of these companies that make a similar version, the salt in it is important.
Yeah.
Because the idea is when you whack or even when you text or you throw it, it's gonna, have that shimmy, that wiggle.
Yeah.
And when it's falling, it's got enough weight to it, so it's gonna fall, but it's soft enough, so it's gonna wiggle.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So.
Seem to have some guys who are out on the tournament trail, as they call it. I
Yeah,
think.
nobody I don't want to. There's not
No, yeah.
I don't. When it comes to pro staff, sponsoring people, nowadays there's a million guys out there who are like.
Oh, they the shirts.
Well, yeah, and if you had no idea, if you just walked in, you've never fished a day in your life, a lot of these guys could probably trick you, and you'd be like, "Wow, this guy's legit." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because they have the whole, anyone can buy a jersey and get on there.
Talladega
Yeah.
Nights, is that the one?
Yeah, like Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. What is it? If you're not winning, you're losing.
If you're not first, you're last, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you're not first, you're last.
No, but there's a lot of guys, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? People want to get a jersey and they want to feel like they're part of something, this and that. But we when I first started, I had a lot of different people on, well, they're friends and guys like that, and when you're still kind of learning, you don't really know who's who, and more recently, so what we've done is we've come up with we have an affiliate marketing program.
Okay.
So now anyone who wants to sign up can sign up.
Yep.
Go to our website. I think after you make a purchase, it says hey, do you want to join? Because you can get money off, and you end up getting cash back too.
Oh, okay.
So if a guy goes on there, let's just say Tony Baloney from up the streets, hey, I want to sign up. So he signs up. Now most of these companies you can apply to be on their pro staff, and they're gonna they'll give you your 10% off, and you got to sell your soul to them for the rest of your life and do all this stuff, and wear their logo and do all this stuff, and we say, hey, if you want to sign up, great. You sign up, and once you sign up, you have your own link, right? So you can go out and you catch a fish. Hey, I caught this 6-pound largemouth here and that, and you can put the link there. They click on it, and it goes to our website, right? But it's giving them credit for all the sales.
Yep.
So we have a bunch of guys who have signed up for that and are doing that, and it's not really we don't really make a big deal about it. People just do it and they want to be part of it. Great, and it's awesome, and they're getting money back and percentages back, and they're getting all this stuff. We also, what we did was with that affiliate marketing is we've taken on a few different guides now. Like bass guides.
Yep.
So we have Ryan who guides on Champlain.
Oh, okay.
So he'll take clients out.
Yep.
And then we have Sam, who's out in Mille Lacs, which is Minnesota. It's supposed to be. I've still yet to get out there, but it's smallmouth Wonderland.
Yeah.
Then we have Big JP, who's on Lake Ontario.
Yep.
And he also does some other places. Then we have Glenn, who does Ontario as well.
Gotcha.
And the idea is we have teamed up with these guides, so now they take their clients out. We supply them with the baits.
Oh, okay.
So I'll ship them, giant box of whatever they want. They say, hey, the black HGW, I'm going to catch a gazillion, 6-pound smallmouth on it. I want a ton of those. I want a ton of these, blah, blah. They get an order together. I ship them the boxes.
Yep.
They get the stuff. They bring their clients out.
Yep.
So now they're fishing with our baits.
Yep.
They got to bring them out. They're in these world-class fisheries. Lake Champlain, amazing. Ontario, awesome. A lot. All these
trolling
places.
up in Champlain, and salmon this big. It was crazy.
You know, and it's unbelievable. We're really
it's a whole other
right?
level.
So, but they bring their clients out. So now they're fishing with these, right? They go out and they catch all these fish on. He gives them a pack and says, "Here's a code to go on there, check it out."
Oh, okay.
So now you're be able to put these baits into people's hands, and not only just put them in their hands, but now they have an experienced guy who's not only bringing them to the best spots on the lake, showing them how to rig them on quality gear, and giving them all this knowledge.
Yeah.
And so now they have all this knowledge. They have the bait. They went out. They kicked ass. They caught the best fish of their life. In their mind, it's all right. Well,
now
I need these baits. I need this and that. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
They have baits to bring their clients out to catch fish on.
Yep.
These people go out and they're catching fish of their lifetime. Now they're having this memory. They have the pack. They go home with. They go on the website. There now in turn we're getting more customers from this. So that's the route that we've gone.
No, it's smart.
We've changed it up, and I just the whole pro staff of having guys. It'd be nice to have a pro on the elite tour who's representing your stuff. At the end of the day, it's money. Like they just they really
those guys are. I mean, you see them. They roll in. They got everything on their boat. They're wearing. It's not to shortchange those guys, but
no, it's a business, and they're in a business, and they're out fishing for a living.
Right.
You know, I mean, these guys are like some of these guys on tour. It's like if they're not cashing a check. They're not paying their mortgage, and then this and that, and like there's a lot of
$200,000 bass boat.
Right, so they're so the more money they can get from their sponsors, the better. So we're not in a point right now where we could that would really benefit us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd much rather go this route, take care of these guys.
Yep.
In turn, they get money from sales they're generating and stuff like that. So
it goes beyond just some guy getting free shit and money.
Exactly. And now I've developed a relationship with these guys too, and like we you know what I mean, like they'll call me, we talk, hey, what do you want to do, this and that, and they try to get like some pictures and stuff like that, content for the website and social media.
That's great.
So we continue to grow. Like I want to continue to grow with like more guides, like maybe get some guys down south and stuff like that, and try to add some more people on there.
Organic marketing.
And I want guys who want to be part of what we're doing. And I think, I don't know if you've been on like our Instagram and social media, like I don't know, I feel like we kind of have a unique feel. Mm-hmm. We're not just doing everything everyone else is doing. We try to post some cool videos and stuff like that. And it's everything that we carry. Well, everything that we sell, our soft plastics, is made in-house. We make it all right there.
Right.
We carry tungsten Ned, it's from China.
Yeah.
Tungsten comes from China. There's just no way around it. You know what I mean? The only thing that, and our packaging, it's that's where they all come from. All packaging comes from there. But I'm big on like made in the USA and like made in-house here. I mix like any color that you have in a bait. Mm-hmm. I mixed it. Like I made that. Nice. I have guys that will run the machines, but they don't touch any of that stuff. No. Like I'm the mad scientist.
I'm not allowed to come over.
I get to fuck around. I mix it all, and that's it, and that's where it goes. So that way, if it sucks, it's on me, and if it's awesome, it's on me. So my name's on it. So
I respect that.
But yeah, when it comes to pro staffers and stuff like that, we've kind of shied away from that part.
Yep.
I do have guys who will fish some stuff, and they like have a jersey and like, are you okay with me putting in there? Cool guys, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, dude, absolutely, whatever. You know what I mean? Right. Thank you. Like that.
Yeah, no, it's flattering.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Wow, this guy wants to put me on his jersey.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
who the fuck am I?
What's next?
Kid from New England. Kid from New England.
Right. So
yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
We have had guys. We did a show, one in Boxborough. We do a bunch of shows, but the one in Boxborough, we had Steve Kennedy, who's, if you don't know, bass fishing. He's been around forever. The guy's awesome. He's the man.
I got you.
He's awesome dude. Great fisherman. He actually stopped at our booth. Yeah. And he hung out there for like 4 hours.
Oh really?
No like pressure on him. I wasn't like trying to hold him in there. He just came in. It was very organic. He came in.
To something.
Yeah. So, he came in and he's like, "Oh man, you mind if I take a seat?" And he sat there and he's shooting the shit with us. And his wife came by, super nice lady.
Yeah.
Left their stuff. People coming over for autographs, and he hung out there for like a good half of the day.
No shit.
And he ended up the 7-inch lobster. He saw that and loved it.
Yeah.
And if you go on our Instagram page, there's a picture of him. He's holding it up in front of our sign. His wife took it, posted it on his Instagram and all this.
Yep.
And they were going to fish the St. John's River down in Florida.
Yep.
And he cashed a check. And when he's on stage, he said that he caught most of his fish on this like big lobster looking bait that he got. He didn't, whatever. I get it, like whatever.
Yeah.
But it was it was really cool to hear that.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, and I gave him, I'm like, yeah, what do you need? Like, I actually went home that night because he was looking for all the colors. Yeah. And I went out in the shop and I had some stuff he was looking for, and I got it all bagged up. And I'm like, here you go. So I gave him like a big tote of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's
stuff
nice.
like that, when that happens organically, when they come to you and they end up, using your, it's like, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
No, it feels good because it's like.
You just don't. I suck at being pushy.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that feeling of like being like a used car salesman. Like, oh, dude, you got it. I don't like that feeling. I'm like, hey, yeah, check them out. They're cool. Whatever. Like, and then if they like them, because then I feel like that's a lot more rewarding.
Right.
When I have somebody go fish my stuff and they cash a check on like the highest level, the Elite Series. Yeah. And like, even though it wasn't advertised, we knew what happened.
But the guy, your shit was out.
Yeah, and it was cool to see.
Good feeling.
I mean, yeah. So.
But no, obviously we're here discussing all the different things for techniques, and those are, I'm looking to get knowledge out there, and I see a lot of videos, and I watch a lot of videos, what I mean, just learning techniques like dock skipping. I went bananas with that for like a summer. And, I don't even know why I did, because it was painful, but I started to get pretty good at it. But a lot of it's like, hey, check out this, you got to try this brand, and then you go into the thing and it's like click here, click here, click here. It makes you wonder how legit.
It's tough for companies when they're paired up with somebody like that too, because how honest are they? Like,
that's what I mean.
What are they paying you?
I get it. I want to get paid, but if you
that's why I kind of like, when I do like this guy, like we all kind of are like, have mutual feelings about it. It's like these guys love these baits. They start seeing them and they're catching them, and
otherwise they're like, hey, he's a fun guy to hang out with, but his fucking baits suck
his
balls.
Baits blow.
I'll fish fucking rubber bands before those things. Exactly. But hey, want to go out to dinner?
Yeah.
Go get a drink?
You buying?
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's very cool. I love this. I love that whole approach. Yeah. You got a good story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I dig that. Like, that's what I'm into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel the same way, and I think that's makes me feel good about, the effort that I'm doing here is, it's like-minded thinking people, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I could just kick out worm. It's more than making a worm, you know what I mean? It's like you said, it's a tool. It's how, how that person uses it. And if somebody who does use it, who's just successful in that business, then, that reflects on you. And the fact that you're like, if you like my stuff, then fish it. And obviously tell everybody about it.
Yeah. That's what's the tough part. I think the guide getting people, getting people to tell them about it. But that's why when you have the guides and we're all working together, they're bringing clients out and they're putting it in their hand and they're making it. It's not like they're just giving them, check these out, and the guy goes and sucks and doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. They bring them to the best spot on the lake. Right. Catch them with this. You know what I mean? That's the way to do it.
And those guys are, I mean, I never really thought about it that way until, recently, listening to some other podcasts and things like that where, these guys who do charters or do guides, you're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to produce fish. Yeah. So if these guys are willing to take your shit out and fish it, they're putting their livelihood on the line. Yeah. So, because if there was something better, they'd fish it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're bringing people, the whole reason these people came out is to catch fish. Right. You know what I mean? Not to go like, I hope these things work.
Yeah. Hopefully, let's try this guy. He's a cool guy. He's a
cool guy.
I've
had no clients all year,
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's their money is that, people go tell us, hey, I caught 90 fish. You know what I mean? I caught 10, I caught 2, I got whatever. And that says a lot, you know what I mean? To have guys who are that dialed in to say, I'm willing to put your bait on my hook every time. And make that happen. So that's really cool. Yeah. So that's awesome. Oh, it's been fun.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's been a blast. I had a blast.
So, all right, fireball round. Dun, dun, dun. We'll have some fun with this.
All right.
We let the ball busting begin.
All right.
I'm not used to being this serious, so.
Good.
I'm trying.
Me neither.
I know.
I'm really an asshole. Cut that out.
I know, huh? All right. Bait caster spinner.
What a tough
Come on,
question.
it's one or the other.
I know, but they each
on.
have their own. Where am I fishing?
Spinners belong in the trash. All right.
What? No. All right, I'm going spinner then.
Really? Just to insult me?
Well, yeah, because everyone calls them sissy sticks and this and that, and they
know.
have their place. You catch some giants on them.
I can never get the finger thing. That's the only thing. Like, whenever I cast, and it's always getting caught up.
Yeah,
Like, maybe I just
we'll
gotta
get you
practice
out there.
more. Yeah?
I'll teach you a few things.
All right, then. I'll fucking catch more than a goldfish.
Yeah. I hope so.
I'll take you out on cobbets, and then you can show
Okay.
me how to use a sissy stick.
Awesome.
I'm somebody I'm going to get pummeled now for saying that.
Good.
I do mostly do bait casters,
Yeah.
but I think it's just because I'm always up for a challenge. So
Yeah.
they said
No, I fish a bait caster all the time, but I
Yeah.
just a lot of people like they see a spinning setup like I'm like, well, no, it has its place.
I've seen
A lot of
guys-
finessey stuff, drop shot, fishing a net, all that. Like I'm only fishing that.
Yeah, I think when I'm, you know,
On
I'm
smallmouth
6'2",
stuff, yeah.
250, and I'm out there with a 6'6" rod,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, where's my 7'8"?
Right.
Ah!
Right.
You know, but that's like when I was out at Pulaski, and I'm like, you know, the guy's showing me how to like throw for steelhead, and I'm like, I'm a bass guy, and they're
Yeah.
always like, I'm gonna throw you out of my boat.
Right.
So I was like,
Loser.
yeah, loser. Braid, mono, or fluoro?
Well, I fish
Oh, these are all gonna be good.
braid with the fluoro leader on a lot of my stuff.
that's all I
yeah.
fish. What pound braid?
So, well, it depends. I'm usually fishing like 10 to, usually 10-pound braid, 6-pound to 8-pound fluoro.
Oh,
I
okay.
like my finessey stuff, you know what I mean? But then there's a lot of stuff I fish straight fluoro on, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
I never liked the feel, but I started with braid,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. Like, I just
Yeah, no,
think
braids,
it's-
like, especially fishing a bait caster, like fishing braid on that, it's like, it's foolproof. And then if you
Yeah.
get a knot, you just rip at it and the thing comes out, so.
yeah, the fluoro always had memory to it that always
Yeah.
drove me nuts.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
could
no.
never-
If you're fishing, bait caster, especially if you're trying to, skip it and stuff, you know what I mean? Braids,
skipping was tough.
it's a lot more forgiving when you fish in
And
braids.
it's funny too because I'd watch these YouTube videos. 'Cause I'm like, I gotta learn this. I'm like so ADD with that shit, and then every guy tells you something different.
Yeah.
This guy's like, keep your elbow up. This guy's keep your elbow down. This guy's
If I'm skipping, I'm usually fishing a spinning setup anyways because I usually am just skipping a worm under just trying to hit as many ducks as I can.
Yep. I got pretty good with like a what is it, a 3/8. It's like usually 3/8 or half ounce ones, and I can usually do pretty good with a jig and a flat trailer.
Yeah.
The worms
if
I
you,
have trouble
If you have a
with, they
nice
just
flat
blow up.
side, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
something like these things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
usually will do.
So you can get a lot of
something.
water on there, like skipping
Yeah,
a rock.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, what kind of bait casters do you like?
I'm the worst person when it comes to. I'm not like a gear snob at all.
No, just whatever.
Yeah. Like I'll fish whatever. Like I got everything from Shimano to Bass Pro, like pro
Yeah,
qualifiers, and you know what I mean.
That's good. It's a good
and
attitude.
It's funny because a lot of people oh, dude, I need, it needs to be Shimano, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
The
yeah.
guys go like nuts over it. I just don't really. If it feels good in my hand, I can fish with it. I like
Yeah.
the sensitivity of the rod. I like it. If the reel's performing,
Yeah.
I like it. You know what I mean. So I'm the worst. Like
Yeah.
you open up my rod locker and it's like 27 different companies in there.
I did a lot of
So
that.
I guess if you want to get some honest feedback about rods and reels, like
Yeah.
I'm probably a good guy to ask because I'm not like I'm not like loyal to anybody.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
like them all.
Oh, that's a good answer. So it seems you like the finessey stuff.
I do everything, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go flip a jig and some nasty shit all day. And,
Yeah, I gotcha.
reef them out of there, but I like fishing a lot of finesse.
So would you go to be a 3/0 or a 7/0?
For a hook,
Yeah,
I guess again that's gonna depend on what am I doing.
I don't know, like whatever mood.
So
you're in.
you're saying like small or big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually
Yeah.
fish big
Yeah.
just because it cuts out a lot of the.
Yeah.
You catch less fish.
I would
but-
say I'm nowadays I'm a hell of a lot more finessey. So
Yeah.
I'll say 3.
I haven't gotten that good yet. So.
Well, no, it's just
Throw
when
big shit
a lot
in
of
the
pressured fish and stuff like that. You want to just downsize, just go finessey. You
Yeah.
can put a lot more fish in the boat that way.
Yeah, exactly. Worm hooks or wide gaps?
Let's say wide gap from like flipping and everything. So you want enough to.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to be the go-to.
Well,
these
you don't.
days.
When you have it going through the craw, whatever, and you flip it out there, you want enough where when it pushes down on that, there's still enough hook for it to bite. So
Right, I got
go
you.
there, yeah.
I'm assuming boat, but boat or shore.
Boat.
Boat.
Oh, yeah.
I figured.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, nothing against the shore. There's a place for it. I just even there's some little puddles I like to go walk, and even that I'm like, I wish I had my fucking boat.
I'm the same way. I just like being on the water.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a pain in the ass. I'm always like, I get something stuck
Yeah,
in a
and
tree
there's trees and this and that. You know.
Yeah. Nah, if you unfortunately can't get to a boat, then
Yeah.
obviously you fish whatever you can fish.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like to
Kind of a snob.
go
though.
on like Google Maps and look for those ones you gotta like hike in.
Oh yeah, I used to have I've had a few different Coleman crawdads and like the little plastic in the back of the truck slider. And
Yeah.
that's when you go catch some big fish in a lot of those ponds because there's no pressure, no one's
nothing.
really there. You know.
Nobody's- Yeah.
Yeah.
Fishermen are, a lot of them are lazy.
Yeah, yeah, they don't want to go there. Yep.
Do you do any salt?
I don't. I've dabbled in it in the past. My
Right.
father-in-law's got a salt boat and stuff. You know,
nice.
he does like lobster and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
not like.
Right. No,
he
but-
just goes like recreational from
Yeah.
his boat
That's how it
now.
works.
He used to be in out of Newburyport,
Yep.
like right by the mouth there, but now he's over in Portsmouth. I think he's got a dock over there.
Oh, okay,
My brother-in-law's
yeah.
got a place over in. He's in Newburyport, so he goes out a bunch. And,
I've been,
you know, I mean, I've been out with them, you know, my wife and stuff, and we've done that, but you know.
yeah. I've been dropping in at Cashman last couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad. During the week is good.
Yeah.
Weekends, obviously.
Yeah.
Mayhem. So, Winnie or Newfound?
Winnie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Smallmouth guy?
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's plenty of smallmouth
The-
up there. It's just clear water. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like
well, I guess it depends on when I'm going.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was ice fishing up in Newfound. I couldn't.
Because Newfound,
In the
you
zone.
can be there. I've been there fishing, and I've seen 25 pounds of smallmouth swimming around me, and they just won't eat anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, sometimes they're just not. I feel like if I want to go to Winnie, it's I can find fish that I gotta eat
Yeah.
regardless.
That's a great fishery. I mean, you can't doubt that.
You forgot to put Champlain on there.
Oh, you're
I
right.
should have said Winnie, Newfound, Champlain. I said Champlain.
Okay. I'll know for next time.
Alright.
Drop shot or a Carolina rig?
Drop shot.
All day, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that thing's paid for your
Although
boat.
Carolina rig, a lot of guys, cash checks all the time. I don't fish one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The old ball and chain. I don't.
It's only so many hours you have to fish.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean? So-
it works. It catches them.
yeah.
Absolutely,
I've never been that successful.
Nothing wrong with it, but I'm gonna fish a drop shot all the time.
Yep. And do you like to jig it a little bit, or you like
Dead
the water?
stick.
Dead stick. It's full on. Okay.
So when you're fishing a drop shot, like less is more.
Yeah.
Slack line. Or it can be like taut and just sit there, but don't do a lot with it.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very impatient.
You
That's
gotta
why
be-
I'm good at just like dock skipping was great because he's like
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
sitting
power
there, like-
fisherman. You know what I mean? You go
Yeah.
run a crankbait, a spinnerbait.
Yeah, I
You-
have to
and-
be doing something.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
hands,
No,
like-
and there's plenty of times for that. But there's other times, I had a buddy who used to be like, drop shot. I don't like watching paint dry, like.
I've caught some good fish drop shot.
Yeah.
primarily
you gotta
smallmouth.
You just got to be patient with it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So guys know your spots.
Yeah,
Good
and especially
spot,
now
you
with
know,
forward-facing sonar and all that, I look out, I'm like, oh, this fucking.
I
fish
just
up
got the
there.
Garmin.
Yeah.
and that's the one I should ask, but I have a Lowrance and I have a Garmin.
What do you have for a boat?
I have a couple of them. I got a 20-foot Carolina skiff.
Yeah.
That's the one I take out on the saltwater.
Yeah.
And then I got a 16-foot Polar Craft
cool.
aluminum. I got that last year, I think.
Yeah.
It's too hard to get the boat. Like I bought the one boat. I fished only on Cobbets, and then I wanted to bring it out to the ocean.
Yeah.
Because I bought it specifically so I could do both, and it was just a bitch getting it on and off the lake because you got to go get somebody for the key. You don't really have access. I don't have free access to get on and off.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right. So I bought the Polar Craft, so I had something on the water all the time, and then the other one I trailer around, so I can take it to Winnie. I can take it out in the salt.
Yeah.
I like trying different stuff. You know,
Nice.
kind of a nomad that way. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you for
thanks
coming
for
and sitting
having me.
with me. This was a lot of fun. And where is the best place for people to buy your baits? Is it mostly online or?
Yeah, so most of our stuff just online. You can buy it directly on our website at samatisbaits.com.
Okay.
You can also buy now. You can buy right through Instagram and Facebook right on there. We
Oh,
post
really?
something, we share. You can click on it and purchase and buy it right through there.
Oh, okay.
But then we also have some tackle shops around here. We have State Line Gun in Plastow.
Oh, okay.
They-
125?
Yep, they carry our stuff there.
Yeah.
Nukes in Merrimack, Mass. They carry our stuff there.
I'm not familiar with that one. What's
Kite.
it?
That one's
Nukes?
yeah. So it used to be Merrimack Bait and Tackle.
Oh, okay.
Then Donnie died,
Yep.
and then Brian Sargent just recently bought it over and is redoing it, trying to make it like a nice freshwater only shop.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna have a lot of cool stuff in there. We just got a big display in there, so it's really nice.
Oh, cool.
Coyote Creek.
I've heard of that.
They're in Rochester. On the way
Okay.
up to
A lot of good lakes up there.
yeah, heading up to Winnie. Like you get up that exit going to like Alton.
Yeah, like 16.
Yeah. Well, no.
Or 4.
It's
whatever.
16. Yeah, it's right off 16. It's like right there.
Okay.
Who else? Dover Marine.
Yep.
They're up in Dover. They have our stuff there. We have some other shops that are a guy in Michigan carries our stuff. We had
Oh,
a shop in Japan
Oh, really?
that bought our stuff. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, around here, you can find it. And if you go on our website, samatisbaits.com, we
Yep.
have a list of all of our local dealers from around here.
That's cool.
So,
That's nice to be able to buy them local,
Yep.
because you're supporting too.
Yep.
You
I
know
like
what I mean? And-
getting them to them. And there's a lot of times people want something right then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, they want to wait 2
Yeah.
days, 3 days
Yeah.
for
Shipping,
and
everything.
that, and-
We are very good with shipping.
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, if you order, it's usually if you order before like 12, we're
Yeah.
going to ship it the same day.
Oh, cool.
Anything after, it's usually shipping. It's the next day.
Making that 4 o'clock.
We
cutoff.
don't have stuff on the website. If it's out of stock, you can't buy it.
Right,
But we
I
don't
gotcha.
carry stuff
So
on
that's
there
good.
that's not made. Like
Yeah.
the stuff's made. Like we
Right,
have
it's in inventory.
plenty of inventory.
Yeah, a lot of guys that,
Yeah.
obviously you're
Yeah.
way bigger than I even understood.
A lot of
What's
guys
the
are just
amount?
making
They're
as
like,
they come in.
it's 2 weeks. I've
Yeah.
seen guys with like 400 colors. I'm
Right.
like, how do they? And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before. I'm like, oh.
The guy will be divorced by the time he finishes all his orders. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna be unbelievable. So we have everything ready to rock and roll. So people place an order. And
Yep.
it's fast.
I
And,
gotcha.
and we try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Tackle warehouses, those kind of guys. Nothing wrong with them. They're
Yep.
great places. and
Everything has its place.
But a lot of people I know that order stuff from there, and it's like they order it in like June and they get it like the following November.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, it's backstock. And it's like, I don't even,
Yeah.
I don't even need that bait anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even fish that lake anymore.
Yeah.
That lake doesn't exist. It took so long.
I don't even
you
own
know?
that pole anymore.
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah, so-
yeah, we try to ship everything really fast, and we're a small business. Family. My wife helps with it. She
Yeah.
does bookkeeping and stuff. My kids will help stick us some stuff in some bags, and
That's awesome.
I
Get
got
the
a
kids
guy who
involved.
works for me, runs the machines, and we're small, but we try to put it out like we're almost like we're bigger. Like we want to make sure we're giving you
No, you're
good
competing. You're
good
competing
quality
in a tough
service,
market.
competing in this tough space. It's a
Yeah.
very saturated.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah, so we just try to do everything right now. We try to keep our customer service tight. I try
Yeah.
to get back to all the messages we get. Shipping. We try to keep our shipping as low as we can. And
Yep.
there's only so much we can do with that.
Yeah.
We offer free shipping on $50 or over.
Okay.
So if you spend $50, it can go. You can
That's
make
going to
that.
save you
That could
$9
be
right
when
there.
you're spending
so.
$6-7 a pack. It's quick.
Yeah, it's a free pack.
So once you get there, it's free shipping. We try to keep that and
Yep.
do that. So
Right on. All right.
Cool.
So
made in America. Everything.
Made in America.
Right here,
That's
man.
what we're here
It's
for.
very,
It's
very
shop
important.
local, American made.
And there's
good
a
stuff.
lot of people who don't understand that it really is important, and it means a lot to me when I buy something and I know that it was made here. And there's so many companies out there now. You just go on wherever, Alibaba and all this, and you just get
yeah.
it and just ship it in, throw it. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's easy
I'm
to
always
do.
the guy. I'm always like. That's why I like yours. Like it was
Yeah.
very prominent.
Yeah.
It sticks out, which
Yeah.
to me is important. A lot of them, I'm like,
Yeah.
then you find the made. I bought a lot of stuff online because it looked like an American company, but then you get it. And again,
Yeah.
not to shit on anything from China.
Yeah.
It's just that
No.
me personally, I want to support
Yeah.
you.
Thank
know
you.
what I
I
mean? You're the
appreciate
guy that I want to buy from. because like I said, the customer service, the innovation, the camaraderie. You know what I mean? It's been fun hanging out.
Yeah,
I've
no,
already
definitely.
learned a ton of shit and made a new friend. Maybe.
Awesome.
See
Yeah,
if you like me.
We'll see. Night's
We'll
still
see.
young.
It's still on. So, all right,
Awesome.
man, we'll wrap it. Yuri Velocity Tackle here with Jamie Samatis.
Yes.
I was saying it wrong. So
That's all right. Everyone fucked it up.
I know, I'm sure. Well, you're a fucked up guy. So
Yeah,
there you go.
I am.
And we're out.